What's up, Bitcoin Radio? It is your man, Joe Blackburn. Welcome to Litecoin Summit in Las Vegas. I have been just on stage. I was just the host of the social media panel. It was really cool. Actually, just kind of impromptu. I guess you got to see a little bit of it. My boy Ben Barlow behind the camera. Yesterday, obviously, we had the awesome Fortnite tournament. We had the ability to go out there, actually compete against some of the esports pros. The Las Vegas minigunners, they kicked my ass. I mean, y'all saw the video. It was embarrassing. But it was fun. I had the best time. And today I'm so fortunate to be joined by Mr. Landon Cassill. He's a NASCAR driver. We're going to get into a little bit what he does. But first of all, man, let's just start with you, dude. Welcome to the show, and I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, dude. So tell me a little bit about yourself. You've been in Bitcoin for a little bit, and maybe we can get into some of the details on that. But what do you do for a living?
I drive race cars.
You literally drive every kid's dream. You drive a race car. Not only that, in the Monster Truck Series, you're just, right? Am I correct?
Monster Energy NASCAR Series. Yep.
Monster Energy NASCAR Series. I mean, look, for the kids at home listening to Bitcoin Radio, which I'm sure there aren't too many of you, but you know, this is an inspiration. I know I wish I could have met someone like you. So I'm getting to live that childhood dream by hanging out with a NASCAR driver. So, but you're into Bitcoin, and I just think it's so interesting when I think about Bitcoin, when I think about cryptocurrency, I do go back to the 2014 era when Doge first made its appearance, and I know that you have a extensive history, obviously driving race cars. So let's just go ahead and start with your introduction to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general.
Yeah, I mean, I first heard about cryptocurrency in 2013, and in 2014 was when Dogecoin, the Dogecoin community on Reddit, raised sponsorship money for my friend Josh Wise, who drove the Dogecoin car a couple times. So that was the first time I had really ever heard of it, and actually got involved myself. Him and I are very close, and we were very close at the time. So I was kind of riding shotgun with him through that whole process when he was like, "Hey, check this out! Like these guys are this community, this weird online
literally
magical
sponsoring
money
this,
is paying us in this." Coin, and we're exchanging it for dollars, and we don't really understand how it works.
Real quick, so let me ask you, in that process, like you literally have to cash it out on an exchange, and they literally had to go and make accounts and do this. At any point were you just like, what the heck is going on?
Well, I mean, I was I was kind of adjacent to watching my friend go through all this, and the team had to have somebody help them set up the accounts and do everything. So, but regardless, for me, it opened my eyes to the space, and I got involved and I got invested and so I've watched the highs and lows. I've watched the run ups and the run downs, and I'm not a big trader. You know, I kind of looked at the charts and I looked at the trading, and I know, like, look, I'm not an analyst. I'm not going to take the time to try to learn this.
You're also a busy guy. I mean, it's not really your lifestyle.
And I'm glad I didn't. You know, I think that I don't think that that's something that that I should have gotten into, but I did want to get my hands into something and put some skin in the game on a daily side of things. So I got into mining. So
I couldn't imagine being a NASCAR driver. Like I have once or twice traded and drove, but for you, that's a whole different level. Trading and driving a NASCAR, I mean, that would be epic, by the way, but I don't recommend it. Obviously, you're smarter enough to get away from that aspect, as you said, but you did get into mining, and so mining has kind of been your go-to, and Bitcoin and Litecoin have been obviously your staples, as it's an A6 miner, I think is what you told me, or not just one, but several. But take us through your mining history.
Yeah, I mean, so it started very small, and really as a way to kind of understand how the space works and put some money into play and put some skin in the game, and really keep myself accountable on a day-to-day basis to learn it and understand the business. And from there I've grown it, and with that, I mean, probably more importantly, I mean, it's been a financial investment that's been good for me at times, and there's been times where it's been a struggle, and there's been times where the miners have turned off.
Of course.
But really, the most valuable thing for me is the network that it's built for me. You know, as a race car driver, I drive race cars for a living, but it's a marketing business, and my knowledge about the Bitcoin and Litecoin community, the cryptocurrency community, has opened a lot of doors and helped expand my network, and I feel like, you know, as this space matures and companies evolve and build, they're going to start spending marketing dollars, and they're going to start expanding, and they're going to be using professional sports as a platform for their brand.
Not just professional sports, but, you know, NASCAR is famous for this marketing aspect.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
And, you know, as you just noted, you know, between how much it actually brings into perspective on a mining level, it really kind of clarifies this actually does have an intrinsic value. And although I'm not a miner, it only takes 1 month for someone to realize the electricity price is exceptionally higher, and that it does cost money to make this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so, have you faced a lot of scrutiny, or have you faced a lot of pushback from fellow drivers in NASCAR?
No, not really. I mean, I think that there's a handful of them that ask me questions about it because they know that I'm involved, and they want to know a little bit about how it works. Or there's a couple drivers that are maybe more in the crypto space than anybody would realize.
Sure.
A friend of mine that's a driver and his brother, they traded for a while, and they were day trading it, and they were going after it. So,
don't trade and drive.
I tease them about that. But there's definitely a lot of curiosity for some people. One driver in particular is a good friend of mine. His name is Paul Menard.
Of course.
Our kids go to the same school, and I see him a couple times a week, and we talk about Bitcoin. And he I can't get him convinced yet.
Oh man,
he's definitely you got to argue with him on the tangible side of, I want something that's tangible. You can't touch it. It's not real. And I'm like, it's more real than any paper stock that you might own.
Absolutely.
So.
But it's a very common conversation, right? And it's not like you're new to the space either, and you've been talking about Bitcoin. So we're sitting here in today's day and age, and we can talk about, hey, this is how you should approach it. But even in a level where you've been doing it for so long, you can feel it because you're paying your electricity bill, and then you're probably paying your electricity bill with some of your Bitcoin, that you mine potentially, right? So I would kind of ask you this question. Of those people that are for it, would you say that, and I do accept and acknowledge too that I think NASCAR is probably very open-minded to different marketing stances, which probably keep people a little open-minded, but would you say that NASCAR as a whole is pro-crypto?
I think it definitely could be. I think that, first of all, our fan base is, whether they realize it yet or not, they're pro-crypto.
Sure.
Because if you look at the Litecoin Summit here, you look at the crypto community on Twitter, you look at the conversations, and you look at the core values that are driving a lot of people's involvement into cryptocurrency. It's a very financial sovereignty, very independent mantra. It's something that's a lot of the separation from the banks and the government.
Very liberty-minded.
Very, very libertarian.
Yes.
And our NASCAR fan base is a very blue-collar type fan base. And I think that there's a lot of synergies there. And I think there's a lot of people in the NASCAR crowd. We're racing in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas Motor Speedway this weekend, and there's, right outside here, you've got the Wild West Crypto Show. These guys are coming. Drew and Ben, Litecoin Lisa, they're all coming to the race this weekend to hang out in Texas. So there's a lot of similarities there in these two demographics. So I think that the NASCAR community, the NASCAR fan base, will absolutely accept crypto when it's exposed to them from a marketing perspective.
That's a good point. Now, you've been around, obviously, driving in NASCAR for some time, and, I know the audience, listening, I feel like, a lot of people maybe even take for granted what those brands on the side of a car actually mean. I see it, I watch it on TV, and I'm not necessarily thinking about the brands, right?
Yeah.
But, but they do mean a lot, and that brand acceptance and that brand awareness is really what comes into play on. I think that's the biggest thing that anybody who's putting their symbol on the side of one of these NASCAR vehicles, these are the best billboards in the world at times. Would you say a crypto-centric team is actually possible? I know that's a little bit far-reaching, and I have some more questions about that at the very end that are a little bit more fun. But could you see a car that could literally be almost a decentralized aspect of getting a car out there and hiring a driver?
Absolutely. So it's something that Pomp and I talk about and have talked about many times. How could a sports team, and then more specifically, how could a NASCAR team exist as how could the assets maybe be fractionalized into some crypto fractionalized ownership?
Absolutely.
I think that race car drivers could fractionalize the ownership of their contracts or the upside of their contracts. Obviously, the sponsorship of a race car, we talked about the advertising potential there, but I'll tell you right now, if there's a company that's involved in cryptocurrency and wants to promote their brand, I'll accept their cryptocurrency as
there
payment.
You go. And so you better be listening, everybody.
Yeah. And I think that's a no-brainer. And for me, that's easy because I already understand how the system works, and I understand how to use it, and I would love to speak for that.
Sure.
So
sure.
there's
Well
definitely
said,
a
by
lot
the
of
way.
potential there.
Yeah, well, very well said, Landon. Okay, so you travel all over the world. I mean, I guess all over the United States, and in that travel, are you seeing more and more people pop up with a Bitcoin shirt? I mean, is this something that you're starting to notice? Because obviously, that probably stands out to you, at least to some extent.
Where I see it the most is on my timeline, and not just my crypto timeline
Sure.
and my Bitcoin Twitter, but when I tweet about cryptocurrency, when I see some race fans on my timeline that I'm familiar with as race fans, and they have their favorite driver in their banner or in their
Yeah.
profile, engaging with my crypto tweets, that's
Cool.
when I know, that's where I see the crossover really happening, and I've been seeing that more and more often lately.
Yeah, so because you are a proponent and you are somebody who's willing to do this, I mean, surely at times, one way or the next, you are getting asked. I mean, is this something that's become, I don't want to necessarily say regular because I don't think it's regular yet, but is it a common occurrence, at least not that weird, to get I guess just some sort of marketing opportunity? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's as the whole industry is maturing. For the past couple of years, it seems like there's a lot of crypto companies out there, but they haven't been totally ready to market to non-endemic projects. There's been a lot of it, but not totally on a mass scale yet. I think that pretty soon these companies are going to be making more and more sports and entertainment and non-endemic to crypto investments to bring in the mass fan or the mass user base. So that's where hopefully for me, my network, coming to conferences like the Litecoin Summit, being involved like this, can put myself front and center and be a part of those conversations.
I know, and really well said. I look forward to watching the crypto space bleed into NASCAR. I think it is a very natural fit, just based off of the brand acceptance, brand awareness, as I spoke about earlier. But what do you, on a personal level, what do you see as the next big thing for crypto? I mean, is there something that you see that we can be doing, or that as a community, we should be doing to help promote this on a high level?
Man, I think it's just going to be kind of use case example out of use case. I love seeing, even though they sound far-fetched or sounds out there, things like the NBA player that wants to tokenize his contract. That's not that novel of an idea. That's applying the blockchain tokenized tech to an investor model that already exists with athletes. There's golfers that sell stakes in their future earnings.
Absolutely.
There's race car drivers. I know of a race car driver, an IndyCar driver right now that has investors in his racing company. He's an independent contractor in his company that will be paid off on his future earnings.
And they're futures. I mean, that's just the basic form of futures, right?
You have companies like Rally Road that's, they're not a crypto company, but they're taking, physical assets and fractionalizing the ownership, kind of creating a trading platform out of them. So there's, I think that projects like that will pop up and it'll really drive it into the mainstream.
So, obviously we're listening, or the audience listening today may not be overly familiar with NASCAR, and although I'm from the South and I know basic, and I watch, whether it be Talladega or Daytona or something like that. I mean, I enjoy a couple races, and I have, used to be a big Tony Stewart fan, and he punched that dude in the face. I'm not saying that was good or anything, but it was horrible. It was not a terrible event, but I remember that was kind of the beginning of the end.
He's a bad boy.
Yeah, but I enjoy at least the idea of what NASCAR is as a whole, although I may not be overly attached to it. But what would you say it would take to get NASCAR to actually accept crypto for payment as a ticket?
Man,
is it possible?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, I said it on stage, and I can tell you right now, the vice president of NASCAR and the president of NASCAR, I've had conversations about cryptocurrency with them.
Keep talking.
They know what it is, right? These guys.
How were they with it?
So
you can be really generic here.
No, they're open-minded guys. I mean, this is a business. NASCAR is a business that has seen its ups and downs, and
Sure.
it's in a position where it's really trying to set up for long-term success for the business model of the team owners and the drivers and the racetracks. So, it's not at all unrealistic to see Litecoin being accepted as a payment option to buy tickets. I mean, that's not unrealistic. The challenge for the crypto community is going to be that sports leagues like NASCAR, NBA, NFL, we're marketing companies, right? And so when a brand comes in and says, "Hey, we want to do business," there's a leverage points there, and a huge part of that a huge leverage point is going to be the brand exposure. And so in a lot of cases, for a payments company to be the exclusive payment processor of a speedway or of a stadium, they're not just offering their services, but they're paying a marketing fee to be able to say that they're the exclusive payment processor. I could see the Litecoin Foundation, being someone that steps up and says, "Hey, we want to be a cryptocurrency that's accepted as a form of payment," and have a licensing and a branding deal with the league to do that.
No, really well said. And I agree. And Litecoin is positioning themselves not just for NASCAR or for the NBA, for everywhere. They're really making this a situation at this point where, it's not going to be as hard to invest into crypto from your retirement plan, or whether it be to go purchase a ticket at the Miami Dolphins or, the Dallas Mavericks or whoever it might be, right? I'm really proud of what Litecoin's accomplishing at the moment. Obviously, they're doing it as a decentralized unit. And Charlie Lee may have been the creator, but he's certainly not the CEO. And as we know, in a decentralized effort, the way that Litecoin has to do this, they rely on the community a lot. And that requires all of us to at least care enough to give $1. I mean, that's how I feel. And if we're not contributing to somebody who's doing something on that level, whether it's exposure to the UFC, as we saw Litecoin do, whether it be potentially getting on a NASCAR, side of a door, or whether it be, to be the host of the NASCAR race, right? I mean, these things are bigger deals than people will ever realize, and most people just expect them to get done. What are some of your expectations from community as we grow and mature? I mean, what do you want to see from the communities?
I give feedback. I mean, if the community has something they want to see done, if they have something they want me to do, they have something they want the Litecoin Foundation to do, or the Bitcoin community or crypto community, give feedback and make suggestions. I mean, my DMs are open on Twitter. This is a community I'm involved in and want to be involved in. And if you're part of a crypto company and you have goals for your brand, people like myself, Ben Askren, I mean, we're invested in this, and we have a national platform. So let's figure out a way to use it.
Absolutely. I think it's really special, number one, to have you sitting down next to me, but number two, to get a perspective from a professional athlete who understands not only Bitcoin and the blockchain, but he understands the higher level of the marketing and the business side of these companies. And, I think what you just said, give feedback. And we're not talking about just sitting there trolling people, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's
be nice.
let's have some,
be nice.
Let's have some common sense about this. Be reasonable, be sensible. If you want him to, if you want to see him do something, let him know. He just said his DMs are open, right? But again, I mean, let's be realistic and let's be sensible about this. Earlier, you mentioned that you talked to Pomp about this stuff, and you've had obviously the opportunities to have probably conversations with some of the biggest names in crypto right now. And I'm fortunate to be alongside you today. But what have been some of your favorite experiences in crypto?
Oh man. I mean, I've been to, I came to the SALT conference here in Vegas, which isn't a crypto conference. It's a finance hedge fund conference, and seeing crypto people at that conference was pretty exciting, and seeing how much of a topic of conversation crypto was at the SALT conference was pretty encouraging to me, because I didn't go to the SALT conference for crypto as a crypto person. I went as a NASCAR person.
And just kind of surprised.
As a NASCAR driver. And I got there and I see Grayscale front and center making investments
That's awesome.
in their, furthering their agenda. And crypto had, like I said, had multiple conversations on the main stage at SALT conference. That was pretty cool to me. That was like a real encouraging sign.
Do you think there's a taboo in any way, not necessarily just in NASCAR, because we kind of addressed this, but in professional sports? I'm sure that you get rubbed shoulders here and there, and obviously you're just on stage with the athletes panel, but would you say there's a taboo still about crypto on a public level?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that there might be, because if you want to stand up and say that you believe in crypto or you're invested in crypto, you might be exposing yourself to the cheap shots, right? And the easy, the easy criticism.
Or maybe losing sponsors.
I don't know about losing sponsors, but I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm exposed to losing a bank sponsor, but I don't have a bank sponsor right now.
There you go.
So
go crypto.
Yeah, go crypto. But really, I think that that any criticism or anybody that might want to share their negative opinions of crypto, it's just an opportunity to share your knowledge and share the facts that you do know about it. And, I sat with a guy just earlier today, and I mentioned something about being here, and he made the most standard, criticism that people all make is go, well, Bitcoin seems interesting. He actually said, I have a portion of my IRA is holding crypto, but I'm not really sure because it's not a tangible asset. And you know what? I love it when people say that.
Yep.
Because it is so easy to explain how it is a tangible asset. And so, it just opened the door right there for me to go through that.
No, and obviously you're well versed, and this actually brings me to near my final point here, and that is, obviously, since you're an athlete at a crypto conference, you're highlighted as an athlete, right? But you're clearly an expert to some degree in what you enjoy in crypto. Like there's a lot of things that you do understand at a high level, especially on the finance side. It's clear the way that you involved yourself, not just in crypto, but just in money, probably in your business ventures outside of NASCAR. I look at the space right now as very immature. Obviously, you can probably agree with that, as a space that needs to not just mature, but it also needs to figure out what it does best. And that comes, in my opinion, to a kind of a heat, and that is, what do we do best? Right now we do a currency really well, I believe, in Bitcoin and Litecoin. We also do a payment processing in the capacity of, maybe I should back up, maybe not necessarily payment processing, let's go with supply chain. Supply chain is obviously another big aspect of what crypto does really well. And then I think the gaming sector. I think gaming is going to be really big in that Ready Player One format, right? And that's just today, right? In your experiences and what you believe, obviously as a miner and a holder, you have a certain perspective, but what do you see as that real big on-ramp into crypto that makes it make sense for mainstream to use?
I think that it's something that's happening not in the United States, but outside of the United States.
Absolutely.
And I think that it's serving people that have a hard time controlling their own wealth. People that belong to a country that has that they're exposed to hyperinflation. People in Venezuela, people in Africa, parts of Africa that they don't have access to banking. And I think that that's the real mass crypto adoption is probably happening right now. What we actually from a daily basis, we don't need it as Americans.
Agreed.
I mean,
we're very blessed. We're very lucky.
Yeah, I've got an Apple Wallet on my phone. I can send you money on Apple Pay pretty easily. For us, I think that right now it's a really good store of value. It's a good speculation.
Yep.
But there's people around the world that really do need it, and they're using it, and that's laying the groundwork for a lot of these projects that are going to solve some of the issues that are holding people in the United States back from using crypto, which is the user experience, right? I mean, just the simplicity of using crypto. I mean, I've been in this space a while, and I've sent a few Bitcoins in my life. I still kind of shake a little bit when I hit that copy and
Look,
go
when
to paste.
you don't, you're doing something wrong,
right?
Because
Exactly.
you should be nervous.
Exactly. So it's there's, I think that all around the world there's different stories on how the mass adoption will happen.
Beautifully said, Landon. Okay, so we'll wind it down. Obviously, I know you got a lot to do today, and I'm very grateful for your time. But let me ask you a couple of fun questions. I do this thing called quick fire at the end of each session, and I try to make it centric to maybe it has to do with crypto a little bit, but also, I mean, we want to know about you, right?
Yeah.
You're a NASCAR driver. You're doing a childhood hero thing. I mean, obviously, are you doing what you want to do?
Yeah. Driving race cars. That's it.
I can't imagine it sucking too bad.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's hard work.
Cool. It's hard. Yeah,
wrong.
it's a grind.
And it's just like anything else. If you want to be great, you've got to perfect your craft. But all right, let's just start number one. What's your favorite motor speedway, or what's your favorite track?
Racetrack? Man, I always said that I don't pick favorites. It's bad racetrack.
Hey, look, that's say what you want.
But if you've ever raced at the Daytona International Speedway, you'll. I mean, it's a track unlike any other. It's a super speedway. It's wide open. It's huge, and yet somehow the car is a handful and it's hard to drive. And it has to do with the track surface, the bumps. So Daytona's the most special place.
I've seen many of people hit the corner there, right?
Yep.
It's absolutely one of the toughest tracks in all of racing. And it's got to have led to some memorable moments, whether it be over at Daytona. But what's your most memorable race?
Yeah, it was at Daytona. In 2014, I had to race my way into the Daytona 500, so my team was not guaranteed a starting spot. There were way more cars trying to attempt to get into the race than they were allowed to start the race. And the team that I was driving for if we didn't make the race for the Daytona 500, we were probably going to go out of business. So it was a new team. It was kind of a startup team. We only had one car at the time.
Startup team.
You can't wreck the car. But
Don't wreck the car.
But you have to race your ass off and make the show. And so
you're quite a predicament.
Yeah, it's quite a predicament. But you got to lay it on the line and
don't wreck the car. Race as hard as you possibly can. You better finish.
Yeah, better finish. Better finish high enough.
Exactly.
To
Yes.
get into the dance.
You got to forgive me for not having the exact
no, it's okay.
vocabulary.
And so I raced my way in, and that I'll never forget the feeling when I crossed the finish line, knowing that I qualified for the Daytona 500.
I mean, what do you say there? Like, let's go!
Oh, you're just so hyped.
The whole team's freaking out.
Crying and just hugs. I mean, it was amazing.
Bro, I feel like I'm there, man. I feel your energy, right?
Yep.
No, I mean, obviously, it's great insight to have, and I hope that, obviously you see that we're truly trying to understand people who are doing great things for the space. We'll finish off with a couple more. Obviously, you're doing a lot with Litecoin right now, but, what are some of your favorite things to be paying attention to? Not buying, not investing. This is not financial advice, as we already know. But what are some things you're paying attention to right now in crypto?
Oh man, I'll tell you that because of my interest in mining, I'm really interested in power generation. I think that's
cool.
I think that mining is such a huge power generation play, and I think that on an industrial scale, it's really exciting to me to think 5-10 years ahead to see what crypto mining will be 5 or 10 years from now, because I think you're going to see power companies involved and huge manufacturers involved. And I think that crypto mining is going to drive a lot of technology into the power generation space. So you take like the hydro energy space, people don't realize that it's actually kind of a blue collar, old school, been around for 100 years. The technology hasn't changed a lot in hydropower.
It probably won't. At least for now.
I mean, crypto could really
Absolutely,
lead the charge on
yes.
that, I mean, there's big companies like GE are leading the charge in developing new technology in hydropower right now, and
for the record, what I was saying, without the crypto influence, it's probably going to stay very similar.
Right, very true, and so that's really interesting and exciting to me, and there's you have companies like CoinMine, right, who are making a consumer product that is attractive to a non-crypto customer who is, their product is able to, this is not a commercial for CoinMine, he's just a friend of mine.
I'll be interviewing them pretty soon.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
So, I mean, their product is, kind of filling every nook and cranny in the gaps of available power to mine crypto. And those are all things running Bitcoin. Running a full node, those are all things that keep our space and keep the network strong.
What I love about CoinMine is if you go and buy it right now, they'll actually, because they're on back order, right? They're actually going to like give you the sats that you should be mining. Like, that's what they do.
Really?
Right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you haven't
That's pretty cool.
been buying any CoinMines recently, but right now they're back ordered tremendously. So they let you, they averaging out and you're getting sats while you're waiting.
Wow, that's cool.
I thought that was really cool. All right. So last couple questions here, and I know that you got to go, and I appreciate your time. All right. Bitcoin, can it hit $1 million?
Absolutely. Sure. Why not?
Great answer.
Yep.
I love that answer. See, nice and quick.
I think it's a piece of cake. Yeah.
Bitcoin as a political party.
Bitcoin as a political party. Wow. I don't know, because that would mean that there would have to be a specific leader, right? And Bitcoin kind of has the power of Bitcoin is similar.
Or does it though?
Well, I guess when you say political party, I would think like, okay, a senator is of the Bitcoin party, the president of the Bitcoin party.
And I'm really open-minded to what it actually means, for the record.
And I mean, maybe as humans, we naturally pick leaders when we're in groups, right?
We do.
That's what we've done here, right? We allow people on stage to be our leader and to be our spokesperson. So maybe I'm overthinking it. But,
no, I think you're right, though.
But there is kind of the anonymous sort of mantra of none of us are as powerful as all of us, right? And so that's a little bit of the power of the decentralized network. Absolutely.
Okay, and great answer, by the way. And I don't think there really is an answer to that if you're really thinking about it, because there are a lot of questions that have to be answered. But I like to get perspective, and
sure.
it's a fun one to hear from. All right, so leading into the last two, and this is it, favorite movie all time. You can pick two if you have to.
Ooh. We're in Vegas, and I just watched, for some reason, all the Ocean's movies on Netflix.
Classics, yep.
They're so great.
They are. They really are.
Yep.
All right, and one day you'll retire from racing.
Yep.
Hopefully that's no time soon, obviously. I wish you nothing but tremendous success, and I'll be rooting for you from here on out.
Yes.
You're now my favorite driver, by the way.
I appreciate that.
The only one I also know in person, and you're a cryptocurrency advocate. So, but on your last lap, as you're winning the Daytona 500 or whatever it might be, right?
Yep.
What song would you have playing as you cross the finish line?
Oh man, what is my victory song for the Daytona 500? Man, I don't know. I can't think of, but
Fair enough.
I'll tell you that my journey as a race car driver has been a grind, and it's been meaningful, and it hasn't been easy. And so it'll be something like it would be something that that signifies that the long
Kevin
journey.
Gates, Out the Mud.
There you go. Yes.
No, but obviously
Some sort of phoenix rising from the
There you go,
ashes
there you
type song.
Look, look, it's been a pleasure to have you on, man. And I wish, like I said, wish you nothing but success.
so
You're
much.
clearly doing great things for the cryptoverse. As you know, Bitcoin Radio, what are you doing for the cryptoverse? I know what this guy's doing. I know what I'm doing. It's your turn. Until next time, we'll see you soon.